into a very well-established show, and coming in as a foe to Mulder and Scully. What was that like? What was your experience like coming into the show and then coming in almost instantly a character being hated?
It was interesting. Just a little backstory. I had not. I didn't watch the X Files at that time. My son was a big sci-fi fan, and I remember when I got the call for the audition, I told my son, "I'm going to audition for this X Files." And he said, "Oh, Dad, you got to get on that show. It's amazing." So as luck turned out, I was cast, and the character was originally a reoccurring, and they brought him on as this character. Well, you really didn't know what his genesis was. He had been a Marine Corps pilot and the whole bit, and he comes in and basically kind of usurps um, a position away from Skinner, and his character was always kind of, I don't want to say nefarious, but you never knew where his allegiance lied. He had conversations with the smoking man at various times, and so you need a antagonist. I think sometimes, even if he's just imagined, and I think that's what I tried to do, to never let on what was coming down the pike with this character, and especially his relationship as it pertained to Mulder and Skinner. I mean, Mulder and Scully. And so I enjoyed that part. I had never played a part like that before, and to try and keep him from not divulging anything organically, So it was trying to keep it straight, but also not being able to be read to what his intentions might have been. So I had fun doing that. It was a fun character.
What was your experience with coming with the crew? My understanding is we've interviewed a lot of crew, and everybody's had some wonderful things. What was your experience coming into as an established show in that sense? You had a great
Yeah.
crew, a great cast, great writers' room. What was that like?
Yeah, it was a great environment to step into. Obviously, coming in, I came in actually at the last 3 seasons of the show. They had just moved from Vancouver down to LA, so I did that final run, that final 3-season run. But the crew was great. They were very gracious and welcoming. We worked a lot of hours, a lot of nights. Because of the theme of the show, there was a lot of moving parts to that. But everybody was so professional, and they were on the money. And obviously, they'd had a running start before I did, so they had about 6 seasons or so under their belt already. So the fit for me was pretty good. It came in at pretty seamlessly, and worked out fine. But they were great. I kept relationships with some of those guys. I still talk to Michael Watkins, who was one of the executive producers, who comes on Grey's Anatomy and directs from time to time. And I still see Mitch Pileggi, and we still talk from time to time. So yeah, I was glad that I kind of kept those relationships.
That's awesome. Do you remember how you first prepared for the role of AD Kirsch?
That I don't. I have to be honest. I don't think there was a whole lot of preparation. It was pretty much all there in the script. He was this no nonsense guy who comes in as the assistant deputy director, and then finally moves up to deputy director. And his was just one of. There was some skepticism, obviously, on his part to this whole X Files movement that Mulder was so adamant about. He never really knew how to read, he or Scully. So it set up this kind of adversarial relationship with them. So I just tried to play it as it was on the script, and it kind of just all unfolded organically for me.
Well, you were fabulous. I loved your character on.
No, thank you.
I mean,
Thank
I'm a
you very
diehard
much.
Mulder and Scully fan, but I loved what your character brought to the show.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind of you. Thank you.
Uh, so what were your favorite behind the scenes moments? Are there any fun
Uh,
stories you want to share? Or
I remember that we would sometimes uh, we play golf. We had little plastic golf balls set up there, and myself and Mitch, we would hit these golf balls up against they set up a little cardboard thing, and we would hit these. And David Duchovny was actually a pretty good golfer, so David would hit, and he kind of give us tips. And so when we're in between setups, that was a big thing. We like to hit these golf balls and stuff like that. So yeah, I remember that. That was a lot of fun.
What was it like being part of the phenomenon of the X-Files? You said you weren't a fan of the show beforehand, but once you joined, what was it like being part of that insanity that was the X-Files?
Wow, I guess it really didn't set in until I did one of those fan Q&A things, and to see the response, and it was pretty overwhelming, I have to tell you. I've been fortunate in my career to be part of cultural, for lack of a better term, phenomenon. X Files was the first, and then what we had with Grace there early on, and the effect that X Files had on its fans was pretty remarkable. You know, you can say what you want to, and some folks that they were nerds and the whole bit, but they appreciated the genre really, and they understood it. They understood the mythology of it. They understood the monsters of the week and all that. And they got into it. The whole this the lone gunman, and all those pieces that made X Files so unique. These fans grasped every bit of it, and they understood it, and it just didn't come in on the fly. They had been grounded in it, and kind of immersed themselves in that world. And you have to applaud that kind of loyalty and that kind of dedication and that kind of impact that a show has had. And science fiction has always kind of had that. It was a blend. We'd seen this before in other incarnations. Whether it was Twilight Zone or Night Gallery or Kolchak, Night Stalker. These are all kind of elements that the X Files drew upon to create this landscape that became such a phenomenon.
What was it like coming back with the X-Files reboot? It had been how many, 15 years since the show had been
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
or 14 years since the show had been on. What was that like? Stepping back into the character and stepping back
Yeah,
into the show.
it was a lot of fun. When we did the reboot, I came back, and obviously I had no hair. The hair was gone. I had hair before, and no hair, uh, a little bit grayer, a little more weathered. But I got the call, and I was really excited. We went back. We shot it up in Vancouver, where the show originally had shot. So it was good to see Pileggi and David and Jillian again, and we hugged and stuff. And it was like we never lost a step once we got into shooting our scenes. And that's the sign of a commitment and a relationship you have with your co-stars, but also with the material, that you can come in and just kind of hit the ground running. And that's what we had there. It was a lot of fun. I had a good time.
Do you think the X-Files is still relevant 25 years later? I mean, so much has changed in the world.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's still relevant?
I don't. That's an interesting question. I don't know if this is a good or bad answer, but I'm going to give it anyway. I think the uncertainty of things, the what if, the what's out there. I think is maybe even more prevalent now. I mean, we look at the culture where we are now, politics and all that comes into play, conspiracy theories, and this X Files talked about this 25 years ago. The mistrust of big government. What are they hiding? All those things kind of come into play, and I think even more so curiosity. I think fans, the show resonated because we wanted to know and we couldn't know. So you want to know more because you couldn't know. And you set up your own reality, and these stories let you do that. And these characters had a narrative that you could say, oh, okay, I didn't think about that. Oh, man, monsters. Oh, there are different monsters now out here now, and we gonna have to deal with them. And I think the X Files kind of gave us a jump start on that. And I think that's what the relativeness of the show still kind of carries strong now.
Last question we've asked to all cast and crew that we've spoken to, which is now over 75 people. What would your message to the X-Files fans be?
Uh, keep looking out there. The answer is out there. The answer is out there.
I
That
love
would be it.